This is how it's going to work. Today, it's a leadership forum. And of course, I want to bring up the question in your face just now, the question coming up on your screen. Do the youth have a clear visionary leadership? Do the youth have a clear visionary leadership? That is the focus of our discussion today on the Leadership Forum. And you've seen this a lot. I have my guests with me. So this is how it's going to work. I'll give each and every one of them 6 minutes on the podium to talk about a subject of their liking, to deal with the youth most likely. Once the 6 minutes is done, I will ring the bell. And then after that, the next person will take the podium. And after that, we'll have a discussion around the youth leadership and the agenda we have. Are we just emulating the leaders we have? Since we own an allegiance to the political parties, do we end up doing exactly what they want? And do we have a vision to transform this country? That on youth and leadership just now. All right, so I want to start with Honorable Kinoti Gatobu. He's going to take on to the podium. As he takes off his microphone to walk up there, I want to show you what their profile is all about. He's a 29-year-old young man. He's the youngest member of parliament, and he represents Buuri constituency, that's in Meru County. He was elected without a political party in 2013. Now, he's the winner of the 2014 Mzalendo Parliamentary Award in Education, winner and Writer of the Year Award 2010, British Writers Bureau. He moved to parliamentary motion in July 2013, seeking to have government commit funds to finance secondary education for orphaned children. He also moved the ICDC Amendment Bill, which is seeking to have government commit 0.1% of government revenue to set up strategic industries that will promote economic growth. All right, Gatobu has just taken to the podium. Now you have 6 minutes. Talk to the youth and focus on the subject of leadership. And you've been there. Your time starts now.
Thank you very much. I wish to take this opportunity. First, thank God. I never thought I would have such an opportunity to speak to the young people of this country as a member of parliament. And my main message to the Kenyan youth today is that everything is possible. The reason why we are finding so much difficulties in running this country is because a lot of very many Kenyans, especially the young people, look at the solution from outside. They think the politicians are the problem. They think the parents are the problem. They think the country all over is a problem. But the young people of this country, I want us to change our mindset from this day and see what can we do for our country. As the former president of the US said, John F. Kennedy, don't just think of what America can do for you, think of what you can do for America. And actually that was the same message hammered by the president when we had the president of Kenya, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, when we had the National Youth Summit in the State House last week. I think we should think more of what can we do for this country. As young people of this country, I believe one of the best solutions we can offer our generation and the generation that follows is helping them access to education. I think my story would not have been possible in any other country in this world except Kenya. And that's why I love this country so much. Because my grandfather was a squatter in the land of Buuri, the current constituency where I'm the member of parliament. And he worked so hard, knowing that without anything to offer to his family, the only thing that could benefit his children was only through education. So he struggled a lot, sold all his cattle to educate his children, and gave all that he had, even his own life, through getting mega jobs here and there to educate his children. And that is how some of them, by God's grace, including my dad, went up the social ladder to become teachers and other professions. And my dad worked so hard on our education, and my mom too, to this point that I am in. And that's why, having seen what education had done for me, I went to Kobo High School, went to the University of Nairobi, went to Writers Bureau College in Britain, and having seen what education had done for me, I decided to spend my lifetime giving the same opportunity to other children. So I've spent so much of my life as a volunteer teacher after clearing my higher education. And since I first worked in a classroom to help students achieve success in academics in the year 2005, I've seen so many children change their lives through education. So my appeal to government and Kenyan leaders today, starting with myself, is how do we offer free, quality education to the young people of this country? because that is the only ladder so many young people in this country can use to go up in life. So I'm appealing to the leadership of this country, starting with secondary education. I've moved a petition in Parliament through the Upendo Foundation, which does a lot of community work in Buuri. Is still in the process, the petition to make secondary education free. The first motion I moved in Parliament was to compel government to finance, to totally finance education for the young people, for orphaned children in secondary school, which I believe it has gone a long way, because now we have the presidential bursary scheme going to 1.4 million per constituency in all over the country to support orphan children. Though it's not enough, I believe it was a step in the right direction by the Ministry of Social Services, but I believe we can still do more. And apart from education, because we cannot all excel academically, I believe there's something we can do to end poverty in this country. So my thinking is, as a leader of this country, how can we grow this economy through industrialization? What we are doing now is not enough. The funds we are offering to finance different government ventures, entrepreneurs, and so on, I believe is not enough. And as a young leader in this country, actually the youngest member of parliament in this country, I have moved the ICDC amendment bill, which you mentioned in your introduction, which seeks, actually yesterday we had a very fruitful interaction with the Finance Committee of Parliament. Last week, after 3 years of struggle on this bill, I've met the Budget Committee, I think 7 times by now. And last week, after 3 years of struggle, of amendments, of proposed amendments and re-amendments, at last week, the Budget Committee of Parliament, led by Honorable Mutava Musimi, approved this bill, which I believe should be coming for the first reading in the next few days. And I believe with these tools, we can be able to change this country fundamentally. We can be able to equip the ICDC, which is a parastatal of government, with resources to set up industries and a framework that is very thoroughly thought of. We can be able to build the industrial wealth of this country and cut unemployment to even less than 10% and end poverty. And that is my agenda for this country. I strongly believe if we can make the education of Kenya high quality and affordable, if we can have means of ending poverty through strong economic legislation and concerted effort by the executive, we can be able to take this country to the next level. Thank you, and God bless you. God bless Kenya.
All right. Thank you very much. That was Honorable Kinoti Gatobu. He's only 29 years old, by the way, the youngest member of parliament. And as Babu Owino takes up to the podium, Kinoti just insisted that free education needs to be given to all Kenyans. They should also have free quality education. And there's also the issue of going digital. He's been moving bills and he hopes that he'll be cutting employment. Now I want to bring up the profile of Paul Ongili Owino. He's also known as Babu Owino. He was born in Kondele, that's in Kisumu. As he walks up to the podium, Paul Ongili Owino is also known as Babu Owino. He went to Kisumu Township Primary School between 1995 and 2002. He went to Kisumu Boys from 2003 till 2007. He also went to the University of Nairobi in 2008 to pursue a BSc Natural Science. He was elected the SONU chairperson in academic year 2011-2012 and is now running for MP in Embakasi, right? Absolutely. You have 6 minutes to speak to the youth about a topic of your liking, especially on leadership.
Thank you very much. I'm Babu Owino, the current SONU chairman and also the president of the Kenya University Students Organization, that's KUSO. I would like to speak to the youth on leadership, and I would like to urge the youth that the time is up. As youth, we should unite because we are the creme de la creme of the society. We are the people and we are the backbone of this economy as the youth because of the taxes that we are paying, being that we are the majority in the country. I would like to urge you to take the leadership mantle because these positions, you are the people who are given this opportunity to elect the leaders of your own choice. It's like being given a blank check to go and buy a Mercedes Benz from a showroom. When you reach a showroom, you buy a tuk-tuk, then you behave, you want the tuk-tuk to behave like the Mercedes Benz. So I would like to urge the youths that when you are given a blank check, buy the Mercedes Benz that you deserve, because the Mercedes Benz will deliver. Let us not judge our leaders by the depth of their pockets. and by the weight of their pockets also, but by what they can deliver to the Kenyan citizens. Because the common mistake we make as youths is that we go so much for the handouts, and this will make us not elect the leaders of our own choice. As Babu Owino was raised, from Nyalenda slums, not Kondele slums, and the way I was being raised, I was raised in a slum that was languishing in abject poverty, a slum that is one of the biggest slums in the whole nation, and I could see the youth having problems with employment opportunities, education, as Mheshimiwa has talked about it. We know that education is the key to success. Therefore, many youth parents are urged to educate their children, and many youth should take education as one of the ails of life that can at least help them improve their living standards. And all in all, what I would like to tell the youths of this nation is to take up these leadership mantles. We see that in the Bible, from the time of King David started ruling while he was young. When Samuel was sent in the house of Jesse to look for David, David was found as a youth, and he started leading as a youth. He destroyed Goliath as a youth and delivered Israel as a youth, the children of God. When you look at Jesus, Jesus started working as a youth at 12 years old. Therefore, the time for the youths, we need not to wait. The time is now. And I would like to urge you to take leadership by the horns. Let us grab these positions as youths, because when we go to vote, we will vote one of our own. A youth can be a governor in this country. A youth can be a senator in this country. A youth can be MCA in this country. A youth can be MP in this country. We're seeing the youngest MP is 29 years old, Mheshimiwa. Congratulations for having the courage to take up the mantle. And I would like to urge many more youths to follow up in the footsteps of other Waheshimiwas, like the Mheshimiwa for Buuri constituency. A youth can also be a president in this nation. But when the time comes, these youths are always used, misused, and abused during political arena. When there is a political platform, the youths are being called to cause violence. These are the youths who are being called to spread tribal and hate speech. These are the youths who are fighting each other, wants to kill each other for the leaders that don't serve them, for the political dealers instead of political leaders. We want visionary leaders, but not missionary leaders. A visionary leader who will assist us in seeing the vision of tomorrow. But a missionary leader will come and loot our public funds. And by the end of the day, we will be multiplied by zero as youth. Otherwise, that's the only message I can tell to the youths of this nation. Let us work hard until you no longer need to be introduced. And youth should always remember that if we came from the bottom, then we have nothing to lose. Therefore, let us fight for what we want. Let us never lose the sight of a gazelle for a dashing squirrel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Babu Owino, they are also known as Paul Ongili's official name, actually, Paul Ongili Owino. He is also known as Babu Owino. He's born in the city slum of Nyalenda, just like he mentioned, in Kisumu. He's also the current SONU chairperson, and Paul Ongili Owino went to Kisumu Township Primary School in 1995. Now I want to introduce Josiah Adiema. He's a former national debate champion when he was a student at the Uganda Christian University. He's instrumental in the founding of the Kenyan National Debate Council. He's also the CEO of KNDC and serves as professional debate trainer. And he's also a loving husband to Scarlett Chebet Chemarum. He actually told me I have to bring that up. He's a loving husband to Scarlett Chebet Chemarum, and he's also a father to sons. He hopes to be the first ever African leader of the Landmark Forum. Josiah, the podium is yours. 6 minutes.
Well, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. The Kenyan youth. Have you ever seen a team of youth demonstrating in the street, calling out for haki yetu, haki yetu, haki yetu, haki yetu? Then all of a sudden you ask them, what is this haki yetu? Then they do not know what to stand for. But haki yetu has become a common mantra that everyone else wants to use. The youth of Kenya. What is that which you stand for? What do you want for yourself? What do you want for your nation? Live the moment today look at 2 years down the line. What do you want to be? You see, we have a situation whereby the youth are in a space whereby they do not have mentors that guide them through. But even when they do have mentors, they have people who are flamboyant. And I'm glad today we're talking about flamboyance. Probably Babu is one of the people who would tell us more about flamboyance and youth leadership. The youth must be in a situation whereby they plan themselves to know that 5 years down the line, what do they want to be? What do they stand for? And I'm glad we're having in this panelist discussion the youngest MP. But you see, he did not start his leadership at 29. Neither did he become an MP at the age of 20. He had to go through steps. And those steps are the key critical things that lay a foundation for a youth leader all the way through. At Kenya National Debate Council, we guide the youth that from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 4, you do not have to become big in an overnight system. You have to go through these steps. Take your time, learn the ropes. Don't all of a sudden want to be the president of the nation, yet you are 29 years old. What do you know to run a nation? Well, that does not say that the youth cannot be the president of a nation. But you must be able to learn the steps. Another thing, the youth are in a rush to get rich quickly, and the quick buck mentality is killing the youth nation. They want to get in offices, amass wealth, and there's a competition almost to be a billionaire at 35 or at 40. But that is what also kills the youth the most, because, okay, you are a billionaire at 35, then what? Then what? What did you do at 80? Okay, it's good that you're a billionaire at 35, but how many youth do you go back to groom? That is something that is very critical for our nation, because we have a young nation that is developing, but the youth have wrong mentors. We must stand up as youth leaders, wherever you are, be a mentor to that primary school child, be a mentor to the high school child, because along the way, you're a symbol and a beacon that they stand for. But above all, ladies and gentlemen, the current proposed CJ tells you that he's from a very humble background. Let's not be in a quick rush to discard that, because that is part and parcel of the experience. I'm glad the Honorable talked about David, King David in the Bible. King David started by being a shepherd, meaning that before he led a nation, he was actually leading the sheep. Learn the ropes. Don't be in a rush. That is my advice for the youth today. Thank you
very much. That's Josiah Adiema. He's a former national debate champion. When he was a student at the Uganda Christian University, he's instrumental in the founding of the Kenya National Debate Council. He's actually the CEO there. So he's a professional debate trainer. And we are taking a short break here on AM Live. When we come back, the question is, do the youth have a clear visionary leadership? I want to bring up that question to your screens just now. Do the youth have a clear visionary leadership? The hashtag is AM Live NTV. You can tweet me at Trevor Ombija or at AM Live NTV. We'll sample some of your views during this broadcast, and we'll also be speaking about mentorship and leadership in the youth. Now, we are staying with the part of the youth leadership and staying with the youth leadership forum, focusing specifically on the youth, because that subject is very important, and they form majority of the voters. They also form majority of the population here. And I have my guests with me, Babu Owino, Josiah Adiema, and Honorable Kinoti, Gatobu. And Babu, this came up when Josiah was speaking, riches versus leadership and a vision. And you've been seen online posting pictures and hosting parties worth millions of shillings. What is that meant to achieve vis-a-vis mentoring the people who actually look up to you?
I think when it comes to leadership and issues about political life and social life, these are two different areas of life. If I'm a youth who was raised from a very humble background, and I tend to at least get some few coins here and there, why can't I enjoy my life? So I think this idea of flamboyancy, to me the best definition is of flamboyant. A flamboyant person is a person with zeal, zest, vigor, a person who's lively and with energy to excite, a person who is somehow excited and has the energy. And because of that, and because of also the confidence that the person has, it attracts attention of people. So all in all, when the youth, 90% of them, I think they are flamboyant, according to the best definition of flamboyancy. Being a flamboyant person, at our age, we are in a youthful age where everybody is excited, everybody passes through this stage in life. The idea about spending, that depends on the depth of your pocket. If you have shy pockets, you will spend as per the level that you are at. If you have deeper pockets, you'll spend as at that level. So I think it is not bad to do that. We have billionaires who are at youth stage. They spend, they don't post anything. If I choose to post something, is because I don't want to think about where I came from. I don't want to think about poverty. I always want to think about the best, and I have hope that today if I spend this, tomorrow I should spend that or even more, and also spend in helping the Kenyan citizens.
You're not on trial here, but many people question the sources of this wealth you're spending all the time.
I think that is not subject to discussion now, and I've discussed it in various forums, and I will not discuss it here.
No, you can mention it right now.
I will
just
not
for the sake
mention,
of clearing,
because I've mentioned it severally.
You're running for a member of parliament, and people will expect your life to be very clear.
You know, the
and
good
this is
news,
one of these chances you have to clear where this wealth is actually coming from.
The good
is it
news,
legitimate?
Definitely. If it was not legitimate, you'd be seeing me behind bars or in courts. Nobody has complained. So we are not quitting because we are legitimate.
Honorable Kinoti, what do you make of this? Especially the flamboyance versus leadership.
I will challenge the youth that we be more service driven, because at the end of the day, it doesn't count how much we have. We had a very rich king in the Bible by the name Solomon, and was the richest man in the world, and he had 700 wives and 300 concubines, and then led Israel for 40 years. But what shocked me is when he wrote his last book, the Ecclesiastes, he says everything is meaningless, but he ends by saying that what matters in life, the last verses of Ecclesiastes, is service to God and keeping his law. So I would tell the youth, as much as we crave for wealth, as much as we crave for flamboyancy, the most pleasant thing in life is making people happy and making God happy. And I've learned that through experience. When I was in first year at the University of Nairobi, I published my first novel. It was called Wheels Within Wheels. And an interest for writing since my days in high school when I was the chairman of the Writers Club. So I worked on my manuscript since I was in Form 3, and the publisher took me through very many stages till it was published in the year 2007. And within a few months, it was a bestseller. Actually, it was ranked as a bestseller in the Standard Nation for 5 times, and I made a lot of money back then. And I would have all to spend on alcohol and outrageous life. But I felt, when I looked back and saw, even being at the university was out of grace, I felt the best thing I could do was change another person's life. So I plowed back much of the profits I made from the novel in buying revision books for people in my village, in donating, even outside my village. I was at the Lower Kabete campus of the University of Nairobi, and as students we formed a movement of supporting education at the Kabete Rehabilitation School, where we were volunteer teachers. We formed another group of supporting IDP students at Kimuri Primary School in Kikuyu. So we used to do a lot for the community, and that is what has given me the biggest fulfillment in life. As a member of parliament, I would have all the money to spend on the kind of life people admire on social media. But even during my wedding, my wife and I made a resolution that on our wedding day, that was 7th of June 2014, we donated our land and our resources to set up a children's home, the Soboiga Children's Home the Upendo Children's Home in Soboiga in Buuri. And it has changed the lives of so many orphans. So I feel I don't do these things because I don't like being flamboyant like many other youths, but I do them because knowing at the end of the day, what will count and what will give my heart joy and what will count at the end of life is how many lives have I touched?
And
How happy have I made God?
That is actually
and that
the
is what
main
I challenge
focus
so
here,
many
because-
young people
yeah.
to aim for.
And that is the main focus here, because the only difference between what the youth who post their pictures on social media and yourself is that you still have the resources. The only difference is you give it to the people who are your followers.
Sure. But
you still spend. So is it possible that you can be elected without using money as an influence?
It's possible. And I really want to thank the people of Buuri. And I want to insist, we've not gotten to our best, but we are on the way to be the best. I want to thank the people of Buuri because when voting time came, they didn't look on how deep my pockets were. And I was very sincere to them. I told them the amount of money and time I have spent serving you and your children, if I was to accumulate that money since 2005 when I started volunteering as a volunteer teacher, if I was to accumulate the amount of money I would be earning if I was in the blue chip companies that offered me jobs. When I graduated from the University of Nairobi, so many blue chip companies offered me very good employment. Yeah. But I turned it down to go to the village and teach. So I told them, if I was to accumulate that money, I would have a lot to buy your youths alcohol. I would have a lot to give you handouts. But I'm pleading with you, give me a chance to get to Parliament as a servant. And that's why it keeps thinking on me, even when I make millions in Parliament, legitimately. I feel I'm here not because I deserve, but because the people of Buuri felt my message. That's why I have to plow back these millions to change the lives of orphans. I'm the patron of Buuri Education Welfare, and every year we spend tens of millions buying the best revision books in this country for every child in Buuri, offering scholarships, buying computers, and doing a lot more computers to train the youth, supporting driving schools, which I support for free, to issue practical skills to the young people. And I would wish this message would sink in the young people of this country, that it doesn't matter how rich you are, it doesn't matter how much you spend wastefully. What matters is how many lives will you touch? Yeah. How many? And I would wish this to be a movement among us, the Kenyan people. Let's no longer look at what the politicians are giving us in handouts. Let's employ them as servants, and that is what has helped me. Okay. For instance, for the last 2 days, we spent time with the China Aerotech company, which has been awarded a tender to tarmac the road from Kisima to Ruiri, about 50 kilometers. And over the next 6 months, the contract period is about 3 years. It will employ about 500 youths in my constituency. For the last 1 year, we've had another contract with the National Youth Service, which is still ongoing, 1,000 youths serving to work on the largest water project in Meru, the Buuri water project in my constituency. Okay. So over a span of 4 years, we've been able to get employment for about 3,000 youths or more directly. The reason being, every time I come to Nairobi, every time I go out of this country on government mission, I kept thinking of myself, what can I do for those thousands of youths who sacrifice their time and resources to get me here? Okay. But if I had bought their vote through handouts, I would have no debt to them. Okay. I would be accumulating more wealth and spending flamboyantly, knowing that next year I'll go again and buy their vote. Okay. So let's employ servants and leave them with a debt to serve us.
Josiah, what do you make of this? Is it possible that leaders can be elected without offering this money? And what about the youth themselves? They're the ones who always ask at Webana, lazima tuachika kitu.
Yeah, but the question would also be, what would the youth do? The youth, they have remained in the poverty bracket, such that they look at elections as a time to make money. But the reason why the youth have remained in the poverty bracket is because the leadership that has been in place for over time is a leadership that takes care to ensure that the youth remain in poverty. I don't want to question the sources of wealth for Babu Owino. I also don't want to ask how he spends his money. But having been born and bred in Nyalenda, I would want to ask Babu, how many youth does he inspire from Nyalenda? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I would want to know that what mentorship program has he put in place? Because living in flamboyance is very right. It's all within your means. You're spending your money, whether hard hand or whether soft hand. But do we plow it back for the youth so that they can be able to also move a step away from now, such that we do not get to keep them in a position whereby all the entire time they have to depend on handouts? Because that is the key critical thing. The youth of this nation have been kept in a poverty bracket that keeps them wanting handouts. But the other big question is also, what is the will of the youth to get out of this? Because there are also others who sit. I come from Ondiek Estate, and I know a number of youth who come from jobless corner. And each and every single day, we look at them and we wonder, okay, when is the next moment that they're going to be doing productive thing? So the biggest question is, are the youth having the will to step out of that uncomfortable zone of just going for handouts?
And most of them who we interact with say that we want to, but we just don't know how.
Yeah.
One of the main things they always mention is finances, and that is why when they see someone like Babu Owino spending, then they know that is the right person to give me something.
But you see,
And that's why if I go head to head with him that I want to be elected and I say that I don't have a single coin on me, they would rather pick up somebody who will give them money.
but Babu Owino,
I think this discussion is not about Babu Owino, but the youth in the nation.
This is generally about, in
So
fact,
what I would like to tell you
it's
first
generally
is,
about the leadership forum.
yes,
and
yes,
this is, you are one of the people who are running for the positions of Embakasi East. You'll be part of the very young parliamentarians that people are looking up to. But what are you doing to change the narrative? The narrative has always been, you have to give us something small. And I'm sure you
are putting it as if I'm one of the people who gives handouts to be voted in any position. But
you do know we have a clip of you offering money for people on SONU as we are running for chairman.
But you see, that's hearsay. Because
we saw that on video.
You know, it is hearsay. Do you know why it is hearsay? Because you can't prove that I was giving money on the day of elections or before. But if I give a youth something, a youth tells me that, Babu, today I have to eat, I'm going to die because of hunger. What do you have to do? If your cow, the Bible says very well that if your cow gets into a ditch on a Saturday, do you leave it because it is a Sabbath day? You remove it. So by the end of the day, if I give them, it is because of my kindness. Some people have billions, they don't even give a shilling. Yeah. But the right thing is, as you give what can sustain a youth, because we live by hope. We have to eat today so that we survive for another day, to have a better and a brighter future. As we give something for today, what are we doing for the long term for these youths in the society? And again, the nemo that coditat rule in law, what I learned in second year is that you can't spend what you don't have. If you have something to spend, why not spend it? How you spend your money is none of any other person's business. But that money that you are spending, does it impact how you are spending it? Does it impact positively in your life and the lives of the people you are spending on?
Okay. But how long are we going to keep the youth in the payback mentality? Like,
so to you, Josiah, spending on a youth is a criminal act?
No, it's not.
Yes.
It's not. I'm just wondering, what is the sustainability model of spending?
You know, I think one thing I would wish to mention is that as leaders, we should get above the level of the people we are leading.
Okay.
You know, leaders are like parents.
Hold that thought, Gatobu. Let me take a caller here. Mark, good morning. Mark, good morning.
Hey.
Just reduce the volume of your TV set, Mark, and then go ahead with your comment or question.
Okay, I don't know. Okay.
Mark?
Yeah, hello?
Good morning. Go ahead with your comment or question.
Okay. Actually, my question is, we should actually not have flamboyance directly, related to youth and leadership.
Okay.
Because what actually we require is we know so many people have problems. The youth, the women, the elderly, and they have different challenges.
Okay.
If, as young people, we have some little money with ourselves, put in our pockets, we should try to actually support income generation projects like the agribusiness. There's some youth who want to do some farming and they don't have enough cash.
Okay.
So the best we can do as young people with little money in our pockets is to support the projects that the women want, the youth want, and then when we get to the leadership, or when we're in leadership, they'll put more trust on us that actually we can do the right leadership. I like what Mheshimiwa from Meru is talking about.
Yes.
He's a very wise person. The little you have, look back where you're from.
Okay.
Then put it back there to support the youth, the women, so that they too can also, when you're not there, they too can also support the youth that will come after them, or the women.
Okay.
So, yeah, flamboyancy is not the end thing.
Okay.
The end thing is true leadership, true mentorship, and togetherness.
Okay.
And then about riots. we've actually been misused. We are given stones, in baskets to go and throw.
Okay.
We are bought, but this is not actually what we need in life.
All right.
What we need in life is true guidance, true leadership. And if we can take it over ourselves, this is the best way. But let's not misuse money, post things that do not help. Let us post stuff like, this youth group needed this little money. We've supported them, and they're now they're planting, coconut and any other thing that they can.
Okay.
So that we've bought them, they are going to fight.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. So flamboyance is not the end thing.
Okay,
the end
Mark.
thing is true leadership.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Mark insists on income generation project, but before that, Honorable Kinoti, you were making your point?
Yeah, I was saying, once you elevate yourself into a position of leadership, you become like a parent, because no matter how loving you are to your children, as a parent, you can't give them even what you think is wrong. We cannot stick to the old saying that mtoto akililia wembe mpe, because you love your child so much that you give him the razor even when you know it will hurt him. So I think as leaders, we know our youths have problems. That I don't deny. And it helps sometimes to assist, as Babu is saying. You may find some very needy cases where you need to assist in liquid cash. But as leaders, we should think beyond that. How am I going to help the young people? For instance, I'm the patron of Buuri Education Welfare. It's an NGO whereby we mobilize resources to empower education systems in Buuri. And it has helped a lot because I took over Buuri when it was the worst performing constituency in education in Meru, number 9 out of 9. Right now we are number 4 in Meru and doing very well. We've risen from a KCP score of 234 to 251. Right now we have almost 100 university students on long holiday on the payroll of Buuri Education Welfare, teaching class 8 students. We take the 30 bottom schools in Buuri, primary schools, the worst performed 30 schools in Buuri, and we give contracts to university students who are on long holiday. We tell them we will pay you to assist these KCP pupils prepare for the KCP, and a good pay. And it would have been very easy for me to take these university students, put them in a hall, and then give 1,000 each, and they would go singing my name. But I think of what is the long-term benefit to these children. Now I have to sacrifice my entire salary to pay these youths, because maintaining a payroll of 100 intern teachers is not easy. And but I think of, as a leader, I have to think of something beyond. That is what I challenge young leaders. Don't just think in the same lines as the citizens are thinking. When I finished my campaigns, the youth supported me with their resources, with their time, with their motorcycles, with their everything. So I felt, instead of going around Buuri giving handouts to these youth, I sacrificed my campaign Land Rover and told them, I'm giving you this my Land Rover to set up a driving school. Whereas you'd go to a private driving school and pay 15,000 to get a BC driving license, I just require 4,000 from you just to fuel the Land Rover. I'll pay for the KRA charges. I'll pay for the trainers' fees and all that. And that it has changed the lives of so many youths in the long term. Okay. So as leaders, young leaders or even old leaders, let's think beyond the citizens. They have problems, yes, but let's think beyond of the simple solutions that they're thinking about.
Okay, let me bring in another caller before I come to you, Josiah. Joyce, good morning. Okay, Joyce, we lost Joyce there. But Josiah, let me ask you, what do you make of Babu's argument that if youth comes to me and he needs this money right now and he's feeling like he's going to go without lunch and I offer him lunch, what is wrong with that? It is an immediate need and I've sorted it out right there and then.
Our former speaker, Honorable Kenneth Marende, puts it that if Babu feels sufficiently philanthropic, then Babu can go ahead and give the people who come to him all the handouts and tokens that he requires, because actually it is money.
But then again, that reflects on the youth themselves, because if Babu does that and I don't do that, there's a very high likelihood they will pick Babu over me.
But that is where the crux of the matter is, because the real question is, what is the sustainability model of tokenism or handouts? How long are we going to keep the youth in that aspect whereby they know that we're going to give them handouts each and every single time? But if we want to change the narrative, we know that over a long period of time, as Honorable Kinoti says, over a long period of time, the youth have been kept in that bracket whereby they depend on handouts. But as a youth leader who is coming up, then you should not use the old tactics of keeping the youth at that very step. we must seek to elevate our own, so that when they go up, they desist from that mentality that, oh, so and so is coming over, how much money does he have, and how much will he give us?
Let me take a call from Humphrey. Humphrey, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead with the comment or question, Humphrey.
I wanted to say that if you compare the two readers who are in the studio today,
yes,
it's like an opposite of good morning.
Yes, good. Go ahead. We are listening.
I wanted to say that if you look at the two leaders that we have today,
yes,
they are portraying different pictures of what the society is.
Okay.
If you look at Kinoti, you clearly understand what problem we have as youth. And if you look at Bob, he may be very well educated, but he lacks that leadership to differentiate the normal Mwananchi's problem.
Yeah.
And because he already have whatever he loves most, that is maybe big cars, nice suit. He's always very smart. So I would say that Kinoti, I would say that he's portraying whatever actually the character traits of what we would want to see as young people.
Okay.
That is helping us and giving us something that will enable us improve our living standard.
Okay. Thanks,
and Mr. Kinoti, I would request.
Yes,
it is usually said that today's deed is an investment of tomorrow.
yeah.
Make sure whatever you're doing today will bring or will change the narrative, which has always been there with the MPs or even the senators and even the governors.
Thank you.
Make sure you make a mark.
Thanks,
Let us know that Babu Owino did this when he was in leadership. But let us not look at actually whatever that person is giving to us in handout, but the long-term gain of that leader.
All right. Thanks, Humphrey.
Thank you.
And Humphrey has spoken directly to you. I'll let you respond to him. And also, as you running for Embakasi East, what are these gaps you've seen? And have you thought of maybe a few bills that you want to bring into if you go into Parliament?
Yes.
Yes.
I think to respond to Humphrey's statements, Humphrey's stating like driving a big car as a youth could be in brackets to him, meaning that that's an offense. Or putting on a suit like I put one is an offense.
Which he
that's
likes.
not an offense.
He likes his
because
suit.
if I came here in rags or putting on a gunia, what would you say again? You would say that, Babu, you are a leader, how are you putting on? There would be a problem again. So I think the debate is not all about how Babu spends and the issues of, because it is tagged on Babu that Babu gives handouts. I think that's not about the debate. The debate is about youth and leadership. Babu as a leader, if I see a youth suffering on a short-term basis, I will assist. I will not desist from assisting. That I insist. But I will be focused on trying to change the life of this youth in the nation. As a leader, I've done so many things to the youths in this nation. The person who's speaking there probably is a parent. Being a parent in this nation means that either you have a kid at any level, any level of either at primary level, secondary level, college, or university level. And I think that he's seen me as Babu Owino, or just running in the streets, fighting for the interest of the youth. If I fight for the interest of the youth so that the university fee is not increased, it means that to a parent is also touching him or her directly. If I look for employment opportunities and try to link the corporate world with the universities, I think I'm trying to improve the life of a youth. If I look for internship opportunities, if I work in these county governments and look for bursaries for these needy students, because 90% of them are poor at the university and the colleges, means that I'm doing something to change their lives. Anything that I do in my life must add value to another person by the end of the day. The issue of spending, in the Bible says that if you get something, you can give 10% as a tithe. There is no problem with that, whether you give 10 or more, or even less. If you want to spend 20% of what you have, or even 30% of what you have in having fun, I don't see a problem with that. So long as that fun is positive,
it's a matter
and
of
is
choice.
impacting positively in your life. Because you must spend on yourself to prove that you can spend on others.
Okay.
If you can't spend on yourself, how will you change the life of another person if you cannot change your own life?
Let me take a call here from David. David, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, very good. Go ahead with the comment or question, David.
Now, my question is to this Flamboyance Owino.
Okay.
Yes, we've been seeing what Owino has been doing all along.
Okay.
Some time back, I saw him in a video dishing out money to university students.
Okay.
Now, from what he's saying, he's actually a different man from what he's saying.
Okay.
Now, I'm impressed with this Kinoti MP
Okay.
and the other gentleman.
Yes, Josiah.
Please keep it up what you are saying, but for Owino, please, because you are starting to be a leader, please act like a leader. We don't want these youths to be poor for the rest of their lives in the independence.
Okay.
We want you to make a difference. Whatever you're doing, inspire young people.
Okay. All right. Thanks, David. That's David, and I want to bring in Honorable Kinoti on this. I'll let you respond, Babu, in a bit. But let's take your opinion on this, because the other question that I've always received is that, and I'd asked Josiah that earlier on. If we go to the electorate, both me and Babu, and I'm only there with my policies and nothing to offer, even when somebody is starving, and they don't bother to elect me, what does that show about the electorate rather than the leaders?
But another problem we have as Kenyan youth is to think we'll be elected because we are young. And I urge Kenyan leaders, Kenyan youth to take that out of their mind completely. Don't think I'm a member of parliament because I'm young. I'm here largely because of the things I've done for the people. And I was not elected because I didn't have money. I was elected because I've done something for the people. So thinking that you go and face someone who has a lot of cash to issue and win the vote of the people just because we are not issuing cash, that's not enough. There's something you can do. It's not just a matter of issuing cash. And that's why I'm emphasizing on servant leadership. David didn't have so much spear to kill Goliath. He had just a stone. But as a shepherd boy, he felt, with this stone, I can change the situation of Israel. Jesus didn't have much to offer. He just had the feeling that he can offer himself to save the life of to save the life of mankind. So I believe as Kenyan youth, though you don't have money, there's something you can do. You can, you know, I like the Babu's thinking that he's spending his own money, and nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong. So long as this money is not questionable and from shoddy deals, there's nothing wrong with spending. But not everything that is right is permissible. There's so many things that are not legally wrong, but you can't go around doing them. So the thing should be, if you're in the university, you're about 5% of the Kenyan youth. There are 95% of Kenyan youth who didn't make it to university. You are not so special that you made it this far. I sit here as a member of parliament, while the people we graduated with from the University of Nairobi in 2010, some of them still don't have jobs. The people we went to primary schools with and secondary schools with, still so many of them are struggling in so many hardships. So that's why I sit back and ask myself, how lucky was I that I've succeeded so much in life that what is so special with me? And when I look back and realize I come from a very small family, I didn't make it through my campaigns because of any historical advantage I had. It was just out of God's grace. That is why I look back and say, it's right to spend my money the way I want. It's right. The children's home, the Upendo Children's Home, is a magnificent structure. I keep thinking, what if it was my home? I think it would be the best and peace home in this country. But I spend tens of millions of shillings out of my own sacrifices to set up a home for the orphans. So it would be nothing wrong if I spent my earnings, which I've earned rightly, in building a house. But my wife and I feel we are just two. We just have one daughter. There'll be nothing wrong in living in a 5-bedroom house and spending the rest of the money setting up a children's home for the orphaned. There'll be nothing wrong in building myself a 20-bedroom house in Buuri, whereby it's next to the highway from Nairobi to Addis Ababa, the A2 trunk road. So it would be it would give me a lot of pride if I would build that magnificent children's home as my own home, and no one will take me to court for that. When everyone is on the highway from Nanyuki to Isiolo going to Ethiopia and Moyale, they would see that house and say, that is the MP's, the home of the youngest MP in Kenya, and that would give me a lot of pride. But when I sit back and ask myself, what is it that brought me this far? Is it really fair It's right, yes, to spend money this way, but it's not fair. It's not right even before God that I spent millions building my own home while orphans are out there sleeping in trenches.
Okay, let me take a call from Busolo. Busolo, good morning.
Good morning, Trevor.
Yes, go ahead with your comment or question, Busolo.
Yeah, my name is Dennis Busolo from Kitengela, Kajiado County.
Yes.
Say hi to the gentleman in studio. The discussion is quite fruitful.
They've heard you.
But I want to commend Kinoti.
Okay.
Okay, the other two may have a way of approaching politics and service to the youth, etc.
Okay.
But I think if you look for a speech delivered by Professor PLO Lumumba,
Yes.
in one of the speeches he talks about a culture we are nurturing in Kenya called the Fonkonization culture. And he defines Fonkonization, a word that he just carved out, to mean acquisition of material wealth in ways that cannot be fathomable or understood. And then this wealth is just spent on people with wanton abundance. So the mistake we've made is that the few leaders of youth we have in this nation have commercialized their services to the youth. What Kinoti is doing is quite commendable. I mean, it will outlive him. Long after he's gone to be the Lord, etc., what he's doing will remain. But you meet me on the street, you give me money. I mean, what happened to teaching me how to fish and not giving me fish?
Okay.
So what I'll commend is that let's start projects that will outlive us. Let's plant trees that will outlive even this generation. So I want to commend Kinoti, and he can table that in Parliament so that other members of Parliament can just do what he's doing.
All right.
I think I'm really touched by what he's doing.
Thanks, Busolo.
Thank you so much.
All right, a lot of praise coming in for Honorable Kinoti, but Babu, you also planning to go into Parliament as well, and I asked you this earlier on. What is the vision? Have you foreseen some bills that you think will change the lives of Kenyans? What are you looking at,
first
other
of
than
all,
just going into Parliament?
Before I talk on that, I want to respond on one of the callers.
Yes.
We were saying that that giving handouts is wrong, which is completely wrong, because as a leader, you should not give handouts to be voted in. But I still have my own decision and my own stand that if somebody has a problem, an immediate problem, and needs money, if I have, I will give. Okay. Let people not have the conception that the money that was seen me giving in a clip was because I wanted to be voted in. That's total hearsay. I went to Kenya Science Campus and I found my students there. These students, averagely, they earn 40,000 for help, and Kinoti can attest to that. An average student earns 40,000 for help, out of which 28,000 goes to school fees. You remain with 12,000. 12,000 you can't spend in a year, which means in a month you should be spending 1,000. Now it pains me when I go to a campus as their leader and a student tells me that today I'll sleep hungry. I'm sick, I need to buy medicine. What do I have to do? As a leader, if I have, I will assist.
How about teaching them how to fish rather than giving them the fish?
I
itself,
said,
like
for the short term, for the short term goals like that, of short term goals like having hunger for that particular moment, you give, but you focus on the long term. The long term is teaching them on how to fish. Now back to my issue on being a member of the National Assembly of Embakasi East.
Yes. What do you intend to achieve with that?
Basically, is about changing the lives of the members of Embakasi East. We see in the Embakasi East, we have so many slums. We have Soweto slums, in Upper Savannah, we have Kamola, and various places. We have various slums in Embakasi East, and out of these slums, there are so many youths who are unemployed. There are so many youths who are not educated. They are not educated because, one, probably they cannot afford the fees that are being paid probably at the high school level or at the university level or at the college level. And when I get into Parliament, I would like to pass a bill for free university education, because education is the key to success, and through education, at least we can make it, we can try to achieve it in life. Through education, most of us are here. And being a member of Parliament, we also want to change the lives of the women, because women are so important in our society. These are the people who raised us up, and these are the people who wake up very early in the morning to go and sell mboga, so that at least by the end of the day they can educate their kids, they can bring food in the house. And we can see that these women, if we bring them together, we join our heads together and we find what we can do that will improve the living standards of the people of Embakasi East, then it will be a big plus.
But the bigger question has always been, how do you intend to go about all this? Because this is a narrative we've had from all the politicians. They know where the problem is, but the solution is the issue.
The few ideas that we might be having through the Women Fund, we can register companies and get money to start businesses. We can organize for fundraising and form a circle for women, so that when we put money in an account, if somebody wants to do business, we'll come and take a loan, pays back within specific duration, so that others can also get money to invest. Then we use this money, we invest in businesses. I think that will help the women of Embakasi East. For the youths, we can also bank on the companies. Okay. We can bank on education, looking for employment opportunities. Embakasi East, we have JKIA Airport. How many companies are there? So many who that can employ members of Embakasi East. And we don't have the right leadership to link them with the right people so that they get these employment opportunities.
Josiah, are you convinced when you hear the vision Babu has for Embakasi East? Because what we were speaking about earlier on was the vision. The politicians always know where the problem is. The question is, do they have the solutions?
Well, I'm not a resident of Embakasi East where I want to run to. It would be upon them to decide where the Babu's policy is something that they would be looking for. Yeah. But what I know is that it's been a mantra of the politician that when we go into parliament, we want to go and salvage the youth from poverty, do this, do that. And the narrative has always been the same. The results has always been the same. In such a situation whereby you'd find that when a member of parliament goes in, the youth becomes goes to the back seat. So it's upon the members of the people, the constituents of Embakasi East, to weigh upon Babu's words and see if he's worth the leader that they need. However, there's something that is connected to flamboyance. Flamboyance in leaders, especially the upcoming youth, has put enormous pressure for people to get rich quickly. And when they get rich, they want to get rich quickly. Most of the time, they have targets to run for certain offices. So people get into positions of leadership, whether appointed, elective or not, then they amass quick wealth. We find that somebody has been in office for just 1 year. But when you audit the lifestyle of that person and you just see there is something that is not adding the dots, then later on you hear that there has been corruption in that docket. There has to be a connection to flamboyance for new leaders to be flamboyant, and then with them targeting higher positions.
Okay, before you finish your thought, let me take a call from Frida. Frida, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Good. Go ahead with your comment or question, Frida.
I would like to recommend Kinoti.
Okay.
Because those are the people we are looking for. The youth will be leaders for tomorrow, and they'll be leading us today.
Okay.
Our youth have lost direction because of people like Babu. Babu, you're very young. We are asking that I would request you as a mother, change and think seriously of what you would want your child to be. Would you like to see them owning everything and not caring about anybody? Are you sure you want to help the youth?
Okay.
Are you sure you want to change the country? Would you be proud of Kenya being the way it is 20 years down the line, or would you like it to change?
Frida, if I may ask you, what is it about Babu Owino that worries you the most?
You know, dishing out money is already very wrong. It's what you have seen with politicians. Mm-hmm. It's pride. Where do you get so much money when you're at the university? And if you have it, throw it back to your community. I understand you also came from a needed background.
And what about his argument that is dealing with
lifestyle that is Flamboyance is not helping at all?
And what about his argument that is dealing with the immediate needs of the youth at that particular moment?
Okay, if you're planting a seed, that's okay.
Okay.
If you are giving a net or if you're helping one to feed, you're not giving the fish, you're helping to feed, that is okay.
Okay.
And that is your conscience, that it should be clear that you should be planting a seed.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Frida. Thank you.
And Trevor, that is where we log in what she's just said. Do we now want to raise a nation whereby leaders have to be flamboyant to go into power? Or do we have to see a nation whereby each and every leader who gets into position has to be flamboyant? Kinoti says it very well, that it did not have to be flamboyant to invest in the youth. Leaders do not need to be flamboyant in their lifestyle, but it must be replicated in what they do each and every single day to benefit the youth that come from within their constituencies or from within their localities, because it's a long-time investment to invest in the youth for today.
Okay. Abdike Yugas says, yes, of course, every youth got talent or ideas to invest, but the resources and the sponsors are quite difficult to come by.
That's true. As much as I say we're trying to do so much for the children of Buuri and the youths of Buuri, I know it's still very difficult to achieve some progress as a Kenyan youth. But what I would like to encourage the Kenyan youth is go out there and try, because one of the problems we have with the Kenyan youth is in the mindset. Actually, the opportunities out there, they're hard to get. Now, when I started the journey of publishing my first novel, that was immediately I came out of high school. When I took it to the publisher, and they gave me options of private publishing and public publishing. Private is whereby the writer finances the process of editing and printing. And so I opted for that one. And I had to raise a minimum of 100,000. And as a youth, it was extremely difficult, because back then my sister was in university and my parents were fully committed in education. So I found it very stressful to go and tell my parents to come again and finance, now that they've seen me through high school, to come and finance a project that doesn't seem so feasible. And as a youth, that is when I came face to face with the challenges we have as a Kenyan youth, because even going to get to get financing from a bank or even from a venture capitalist is extremely difficult. But I kept trying. I kept on knocking doors. One day I walked into a microfinance in Meru Town, and they told me, since I have no asset to attach on financing, then I have to fall back on my parents. They identified in the entire Buuri, there was only one women group that was active and could get financing. So they asked me to have my mother enroll as a member of that women group, and then through her, I would make savings, 200 shillings per week. And out of that amount, I would pull a little resources, and then they would finance me 3 times of my savings. So it was, and then the financing, which was coming to about 26,000. So I asked the publisher, let me just pay the 26,000, and then before the publishing ends, I'll have looked for other sources of money. And the even 26,000 I received from the microfinance was at a very high interest rate of almost 30%. So I fully identify with the challenges the Kenyan youth have, but what I encourage them is go out there and try. Have the determination to do something. Don't just sit in the house. Now, we were in State House upon the invitation of the President for the Youth Summit last week, and so many questions that were coming in through Twitter, Facebook, and even calls were, all these things that the government is doing, they're impossible to achieve. The AGPO certificate is impossible to get. To register a company is impossible. And 90% of the youths who are bringing the questions, they were being asked, have you tried? They were saying, no, we've not tried because we know it's not possible. So I'm challenging the Kenyan youth. When we are trying to enroll some youths for work at the China Aerotech company that is doing tamaking in my constituency, so many youths didn't have the PIN certificate, the NHIV registration, and the NSSF, and they were saying, these documents you must go to Nairobi to get, and they were saying it's impossible. But we told them, just go to the Huduma Center at the Meru Post Office, and within hours they had all the documents. So I'm telling the Kenyan youth, be willing to go out there and try. As a leader, as a Kenyan youth who has gone through the problems you're facing, I know it's extremely difficult. But through struggles and persistence and keeping trying, somewhere along the way, God will grant you success. So the Kenyan youth, despite the challenges you're facing, come together as youth in the village. Start a small economic activity, a kiosk. Start some hand labor you can do as a youth, and somewhere along the way you get success.
Trevor, this reminds me of the journey of Kenya National Debate Council.
Yes.
In 2012, 6 youths, Kipngeno, Kirui Duncan, Gray Kimaro, Esbon Dungu, Rose, sat down and thought, how do we start the debating organization in Kenya? It would have been so easy to just say, guys, we don't have money, and let's not do this. But when we sat down and we agreed that Kenya National Debate Council is coming into fruition, we didn't have even a single cent.
Okay.
And in the first year of its existence, actually, we had to dip into our pockets.
Okay.
The youth must go that extra mile of knowing that to start something is not a one-day's journey, and there are moments of sacrifice that you must endure.
All right.
But later on, it comes to fruition. Money meets you along the way if you persist on what you're doing and if that's something that you're doing is critical.
Okay, I have to take a call from Esther, and many people are complaining that, Babu, you're awfully quiet. Victor, good morning.
Good morning, Trevor.
Yeah, go ahead with your comment or question, Victor.
Yes, my name is Victor William Okot. I'm calling from Kakamega.
Yes, Victor.
Yes, I just want to advise the youth
Okay.
of this nation
Yes.
that it is time they should run to the Lord Jesus Christ with all their strength
Okay.
and stop this issue of taking people just to politics.
Okay.
When it is time for Babu Owino to receive Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ is coming very, very soon.
All right, Victor.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Victor, I would like to
Thanks,
tell you
Victor.
that Jesus Christ is my personal savior, and I go to church every Sunday. I also
Okay.
fast.
Okay.
Me and my family members. And talking on the issue about youth saying that they don't have enough capital to start businesses, I think this is true because we meet these youths on a daily basis. Even the easiest source of funding that we can get from the government, that is from the youth fund, is not easily accessible because the conditions that are being given are so tedious that a Kenyan youth might not want to go through all that process. But all in all, I advise the youths to be hopeful because people have made it. There are people who are in worse situations where they are from, but they have made it in life.
Okay.
So let them have faith. Let us just pray as one of our friends has called and said that we accept Jesus Christ. We put God first, and everything shall follow. Seek ye the kingdom of God first.
Okay.
One thing I would wish to add, in the small things we're doing in Buuri, using my personal resources and all that, to the Kenyan youth, I want to tell you we are trying to do big things through legislation. This is the parliament in the history of Kenya with the largest number of young parliamentarians.
But do we feel their impact
We
as
are
the youth on the ground?
We are really trying. We may not have been able to do everything that should have been done over the 4 years. We have a Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association, where the chairman is Honorable Sakaja. He moved a bill, the National Employment Bureau, whereby we want to build a database of the Kenyan youth who are seeking employment and try to link that database with the Kenyan employers. Okay. Now, I've come up with this, the strategic, the ICDC amendment bill. I'm calling it Strategic Industries Bill because initially it was the Strategic Industries Bill, but the Budget Committee recommended instead of creating another corporation, let's try to deal with the existing corporations. That is how we came up with the ICDC amendment bill. We are trying to appreciate that the fact that though the government has done a lot in providing capital for the entrepreneurs, especially the youth, through the Youth Fund, Women Enterprise Fund, Wezo Fund, and so on, we want to appreciate the fact that not all of us can be entrepreneurs. We also need some of us are just created to be suitable employees. Okay. So we are trying to create, to allocate 0.1% of the government revenue to ICDC to set up industries that help spur economic growth, and more importantly, create employment for the youth. Because there are some industries that we don't expect entrepreneurs to venture into, but the government can do it and create employment for us.
Let me take a call from Samuel here. Samuel, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Trevor?
Good. Go ahead with your
comment or
question.
I really appreciate what you guys are discussing.
Okay.
And I think it's a very interesting discussion. I only want to make a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
First comment is that we are discussing leadership and flamboyance.
Okay.
And I think it's a mistake when you're looking at flamboyance by itself.
Okay.
Flamboyance, you're looking at it when you're looking at the physical, like how somebody looks, how much you spend, and all that.
Okay.
But if we relate that to leadership, it's different because it's more to characters, the character of a person in relation to leadership.
Okay.
Mandela was once described as a flamboyant leader. and also Mandela, so Mahatma Gandhi.
Okay.
So I don't think that there is we are making a problem when you are saying that leadership has to do with what people, how somebody look like.
Samuel.
But it's more on character. The other thing is, the scripture says that the greatest of all is the servant to all.
Okay.
So I think when we're looking at the leaders as young people, we need to look at people who are more servants who are willing to serve the people, but not who are there to lord for the people.
Samuel, quick question. I know you interact with the youth out there. Who are you most likely to vote for between a leader who has ideas and a leader who looks like he already has money?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, because what I've seen on the ground is that people prefer...
a leader who has ideas, because, the same scripture says that people perish because of lack of vision. So money will not be the most person that I will be looking at, but be looking at a leader who has a vision for the people, and a person who is willing to work for the people and not to work over the people.
All right.
I will look at it, yes.
Thanks, Samuel.
And I don't think that Babu has a problem, because also the scripture says at the same time that if you find your brother who is hungry, you don't tell him just go and you get something to eat, but you help that person immediately. But of course, maybe to anticipate, I wouldn't make it as a strategy to make people to like me, but I would also look how I can be able to help them in the future.
All right. Thanks, Samuel. And before I bring in Babu on this, Josiah, very briefly, and you've interacted with the youth, is this true? Because there's a difference between what we say and what we actually do. Yeah? If a leader comes in there and he has all the ideas and you can see, will you give him the time to listen when he comes in riding on a border and then Babu comes in his Range Rover? Who is most likely to gather crowds? Let's just be honest here.
The honest thing is that the youth have been wired to believe that leadership belongs to the flamboyance that is in place, and the rich.
Yeah.
And the truth is, if somebody came on a border against Babu who came on a limousine, even the crowd that had formed around the guy on the border would immediately leave and go to Babu, who was coming in a limousine. So the youth have also known that where there is money, that is where it's that opportunity to eat. But you can't blame them. They don't have money. They're looking for this opportunity to earn something. Okay. So do you blame them? Not necessarily.
But is that the reason why you do some of these things?
The way you're putting it does not make sense.
No. The thing is,
I know Babu is being used as a control experiment.
You're not being used as an experiment here.
Control experiment.
But that's because everyone has seen the things you post on social media. We just want to see your argument, because you are looked at as a leader as well, in as much as there's also the issue of flamboyance. So we want to marry these two. And then there's also the issue of the youth on the ground.
Can I also ask you a question? Does it mean that a leader must not be flamboyant? You can be a leader and you're a flamboyant leader, but you still deliver to your constituents, which is most important.
And we've seen that very many
how
times.
How you lead your personal life is your business. But your business is, if you are elected as a leader, are you also delivering to the constituents who elected you?
Okay.
So by the end of the day, what I would like to say about this issue of flamboyance, we've seen leaders who have money, the likes of Mwau, who've been not elected, but they had so much money. We've seen Biwott vying with so much money. We saw Ephraim Maina with so much money, but they were never elected. We see Mheshimiwa's opponent had so much money, but Mheshimiwa was elected in Buuri constituency. Why? Because these people are looking at a visionary leader, not a missionary leader. A missionary leader is the one who will come with handouts to give you. Then once you're done with him, he disappears. That's why even the youths are losing hope, because they thought that these people, some of these people could come as an angel, that they are solving their immediate problems. At the back of their minds, at the back of the leader's mind, the politician's mind, is that I'm giving a handout to be voted in. At the back of a youth's mind is that at least this something small I'm getting is going to sort my immediate challenge or need. So when they're elected, they don't come back. They don't serve the interest, because they use that money to get into those positions. And I condemned it, and I said, and I will not use handouts in Embakasi East, but I will solve and I will get involved in trying to solve the immediate challenges of people. Every day, even before I came here at 6 a.m., Embakasi East residents were calling me. Some of them have problems even up to now. There's a child who's supposed to be taken to the hospital. There was no money. What should we do? If I give out the money, people will say that there's a handout. But to the person who needs the money, it is helping a life. So by the end of the day, if I think and I know that whatever I'm doing is right, then I will do it.
What would you say is your greatest achievement so far? Because my producer Ruth Muni says most people want to know what you've done for the people. And that is the exact mentality we're talking about. They want to know what you've done for them.
Thank you. To respond on that, at the university level as a student leader, first of all, my greatest achievements, one, you've seen me several times and you've seen Kenyans condemning me, Kenyans who are probably on the high class, condemning me because they have their cars driving around. When I block the roads, they say that, Babu Owino, this is not the way to go. But we know very well that demonstrating and picketing is a constitutional and inherent right of any Kenyan citizen. If university fee is going to be increased the way the former CS was planning to increase it, and Babu Owino says no, is that not helpful to Kenyan citizens? Not only the people, the students, but all Kenyan citizens. If help is delaying to be released to students, for a student to go to class to read, for a student to buy food to eat, and Babu Owino says no, because I start by dialogue, and if dialogue becomes, it's not a weakness, but if dialogue fails, we use the next alternative way, which is also enshrined in the Kenyan constitution, which is demonstration. But if I do so, some Kenyans are branding me that this Babu Owino is becoming violent, is becoming what, and that's not my nature. If you can look at me, I'm a God-fearing person. But if people cross the path of my constituents, then I need to give them the right kind of leadership that they deserve. We've also linked the corporate world with the universities. Right now, students can be employed. Some of them are getting employment opportunities. We've worked on bursaries in various counties to the students. Even as in SONU, there are bursaries that are given to the students. We work on internship programs, exchange programs with other universities in various parts of the country. Those are some of the achievements that we have. I have to take a short break here on AM Live. We'll be back with the Leadership Forum. The question is, do the youth have a clear visionary leadership? Well, thanks for staying with us. My panelists are still with me. Paul Ongili Owino, also known as Babu Owino, Honorable Kinoti Gatobu, Member of Parliament, Buuri constituency, and Josiah Adiema, of course. And this question keeps coming up, Babu. Marjorie Gitu says, visionary leadership is all over. What is lacking is transparency. How did he achieve it? And I asked you that question earlier and you refused to answer. Now that Marjorie has asked it, will you answer? How did you make your money? I think I've answered it severally and I'll still just go over it. When we were raised from Nyalenda slums, when my mom was selling changa, I was so inspired by the business that she was doing to raise us up. And because of this, I decided to contact one of my cousins in Nairobi. He's called John Omondi. He was doing business of farming in Kinangop. And then I joined him. We were doing business together, raised capital. From that, we started other small businesses of boutiques. And then with determination and hard work, at least we were able to also form companies. With these companies, creating connections here and there, doing tenders. And kidogo kidogo ujaza kibaba.
And these deals are legitimate deals?
Definitely. That's why you've never seen anybody complaining about the illegitimacy of it.
All right. But the other problem we have in Kenya, I think, is the inactive nature of the visionary leaders, because you can't promise me heaven when you can deliver even earth. I think the mere fact that visionary leaders in Kenya just appear during elections, that makes them not be elected. So many Kenyans end up electing leaders with questionable character and with questionable sources of money, just because the leaders who are visionary and would have done better, maybe they have nothing to offer. Because in terms of speaking, anyone can speak. I can go to the people of Buuri and promise them, once you elect me, I'll buy a chopper for everyone, I'll give $1 million to everyone. Anyone can say anything, but you must show I was an independent candidate. So I had my own manifesto. I didn't cling on any party's manifesto. It was a 7-point manifesto, ranging from youth empowerment, health, and the seventh, and one that caught people a lot is inspiration. I wanted to inspire the people. But I told them, over 7 years, this is what I've done in education as a volunteer. So you can believe in me when I say I'll deliver on the other 6, including the education as well. And though we've not done everything, we've done a lot. Actually, I think over 3 years, we've done more than was done in Buuri for 50 years. So I think if you believe you're a visionary leader, though you don't have the money, there's something you can do.
Okay.
You cannot just sit back and say, there's nothing I can do. There's a lot you can do.
Okay.
I was at the same university where Babu is a SONU chairman, and I was the editor of a Christian magazine known as The Vine. And I also touched on the suffering of the people around the streets of Nairobi, and even in our own college. And we agreed as the editorial board of the Vine magazine that all the profits we'd make out of every publication, we'd plow them back to the society. We used to have something we used to call the Vine Breakfast.
Okay.
It used to be held at the Globe Roundabout, where we used, before every rain, we used to call all the street families in Nairobi and donate and preach to them and donate them clothes, which were gathered from students and lecturers. So I believe as a student, even as a hustler, even as the lowest youth in the villages of this country, there's something you can do. If you think the certification is what is eating in our country, you can do something like Wangari Maathai in fighting for forest and doing something about afforestation. If you believe your academics, your academic prospect in your village are fallen so low, there's something you can do to lift up academics in your village. If you believe poverty is the problem, you have the exposure to help the women in the village, the youth in the village, access economic activities. So do something. It may not be enough, but it will help show the voters that as a visionary leader, this is the little you have done. You stand a chance to be given more responsibility.
All right. And Kevin Kabuya here says, it's true what Babu Owino has said. Even the easiest to access, like youth fund, is one of the hardest things ever. There's a lot of bureaucracy going on, Josiah, and we're running out of time here, but I just want you guys to give us your closing remarks really fast on this entire youth and leadership. What should we do going forward?
For me, one of the things that needs to be critical, even in as much as we look at the leaders' end, the youth must also be able to know themselves. They must be able to know that this is what we stand for. Okay. And this is what we seek out of our leaders.
Very briefly, because we're running out of time.
Yes.
Babu Owino,
I think
closing remarks very fast.
Thank you, my brother. I think youth should not lose hope in life.
Okay.
Because we are the backbone of the economy of this nation.
Okay.
And we should stay focused.
Gatobu, very briefly. I really have to run. I'm running out of time here. Very briefly, 5 seconds.
Yeah, my life journey has been very impulsive to myself.
Yeah.
It has inspired me myself.
Okay.
So my message to the Kenyan youth is that everything is possible. Don't just sit back. There are challenges, yes. As leaders, we're trying to solve those challenges. Okay. But above all, with God, everything is possible.